In September 2026, 60 of the rarest vehicles on Earth will park along the gravel paths of Hampton Court Palace for the Concours of Elegance. But the detail worth your attention is not the metal on the grass. It is the complete absence of a judging panel. The Best of Show award here is decided entirely by the owners. Each person casts a single vote on everyone else's work. This creates a peer review run by people who know exactly what they are looking at. They have no commercial stake in the outcome, nobody to report to, and zero reason to flatter a competitor. As a mechanism for pure design critique, it is flawless. But it suffers from one obvious limitation. The objects facing this intense scrutiny were finished up to a century ago. 60 incredibly complex objects are about to be evaluated with absolute rigor, and not a single line, surface, or curve can actually be altered by the verdict. The Concours d'Elegance did not begin as an exercise in history. In 1920s France, it was a high-stakes marketplace for unproven ideas. Back then, you bought a bare mechanical chassis and commissioned the exterior separately. Chassis makers and coach builders used these events as shop windows to put their newest bodies in front of the people who might buy the next one. Houses like Saucek dragged their unproven work to these circuits. Winning an award here was an advertisement. It directly resulted in new commissions. Between the wars, the vehicles parked on the grass were prototypes for the future, not relics of the past. Over a century, the judging got sharper, but the timing inverted. A forum that originally forged what a manufacturer would build next now merely adjudicates what happened to survive. If active, disinterested critique no longer happens on the lawns of a concourse, we have to look at where the industry actually evaluates design today. The primary venue is the internal gateway review. These are necessary check-ins, but they are private, deeply hierarchical, and permanently entangled with who reports to whom. The only external alternative is the modern industry awards circuit, but these arrive strictly at the end of the line. By the time a jury sees a car, millions in capital have been spent, the steel tooling is cut, and the exterior surfaces are frozen. You might point to modern concept cars displayed at high-end events like Pebble Beach as a counterexample, but a concept car on a lawn is an executed artifact. It represents millions of dollars in fabrication. Evaluating it means critiquing the execution of a choice made months or years prior, not the architectural choice itself, which leaves the design process trapped. The critique is either an internal approval compromised by the org chart or an external post-mortem delivered far too late to matter. The highest leverage period in any design cycle is the concept phase. This is the narrow window where foundational architecture is chosen and rigid constraints are accepted in exchange for specific freedoms. This chart maps the relationship between influence and expense. Early on, leverage over the final product is at maximum, while the cost to change is practically zero. Yet this exact window, where adjustments carry the most weight, operates in a complete vacuum of external peer review. A useful early-stage critique cannot just react to a pretty rendering on a wall. It has to evaluate the argument. Why was this architecture chosen over the 3 that were dropped? What future options does this specific shape foreclose? That kind of verdict only holds weight if it comes from peers who carry the same packaging, cost, and regulatory constraints. They need to understand what a trade-off costs before the metal is cut. The Concours of Elegance proves that disinterested peer review works. It strips away the politics and the posturing. This simply needs to be moved to the beginning of the timeline. To make that work today, early concepts have to be legible enough for an expert to tear them apart. By applying the strict, unbiased rigor of the Hampton Court lawns to the fluidity of a foundational sketch, the industry can finally fix the timing of its critique. This is the system Depix makes possible. Because design decisions are cheap as a sketch, brutal once tooled. See every angle before you build. Because an unexamined choice early on is a cost you pay forever.